To the Awards Heaven podcast. I'm Tony Ruiz.
I'm Rob LaCuria.
I'm Charlie Bright.
And it is officially the start of award season. We had a lot of awards this week. We'll be talking about all the big awards, nominations, and recipients this week. We'll also be talking about some of the big Oscar contenders, including It Was Just an Accident, Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme. We'll be talking about what we're watching. We're going to have a little special discussion about Radiohead, which is a topic I know absolutely nothing about. So this will be a learning experience for me. And later in the show, we'll be having a very special music-themed top five with our top five winners of the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. Our guest this week is our dear friend, former colleague at Gold Derby, and all-around awesome human being, Daniel Montgomery. Daniel, what's new? What's exciting? What's happening?
It's been good. Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. I've been since leaving Gold Derby, I've been working on my own independent newsletter, trying to build that up, and that's basically what's been going on. Just trying to see all the things and listen to all the things in vain, as always.
And there are so many things. There are so many things. And this week we got a lot of those things. We had the Gothams this week and the National Board of Review Awards and the New York Film Critics Circle. And I think we can all agree that the takeaway from at least what we've seen so far is that one battle after another is kind of just marching right towards that Best Picture win. Rob, what did you take from some of the awards that you saw this week?
Well, first of all, I just need to say that this is where it starts getting really, really like hairy. There's a lot going on, and it's so difficult to keep up with it all. And don't you find that once you get past Thanksgiving, the next couple of weeks is just so insane. There's so many things that you need to catch up on and watch. Oh, I'm going mad. But other than that, when I woke up this morning and saw all these announcements, it took me a little while to kind of dig in. But I did notice that there seems to be a top 10, top 12 films that are really congealing as the favorites. If you look at AFI and you look at the Critics' Choice, and that's very interesting to me. But you're so right, Tony. Obviously, one battle after another is absolutely the front runner, with probably Hamnet and I would say Marty Supreme being right behind them, maybe Train Dreams. And I'm also very happy to see that Sinners is not falling off a cliff yet. It's still hanging in there. It's one of the early releases, so I'm very happy about that. And by the way, I'll just mention this because I don't think any of you guys will care that much, but the actor, not the actor, the actor awards were also announced this morning in Sydney, and they're the Australian Academy Awards. Now, the international piece has not been announced yet, so that's why no one in America really gives a shit. But they were also announced as well, and it's just like, can you all pick a day and then announce so that we don't all have to have it all on the same day? Because we have lives, and we need to sleep, and we need to also, do self-care. So other than that, I'm feeling really good.
Charlie, what are some of the things that you noticed?
Other than one battle after another, I got to say, at least for the first round of awards, things that we got, I think probably the biggest winner other than one battle after another is Jafar Panahi. He scored big at the Gotham Awards, which I know is not really much of a fun, but they normally like to spread their wins out because each category is voted on by just 5 people. So to get that kind of concentration for one movie in 3 different categories was something else. And then he wins Best Director at New York. It's cited. It gets a special citation from the American Film Institute, which most notably Parasite got the year that came out. But then today, almost inexplicably, I have no idea what happened, but it was just an accident. Only got the foreign language nomination at Critics' Choice, which is just its own thing because also Sentimental Value got in for Best Picture, but it didn't get in for International Feature. So there's a very strange thing going on with Critics' Choice that I can't explain right now. But I think Jafar Panahi actually got probably the biggest boost, and signal that I just to see how it feels. I actually switched. So Best Picture, I had Hamnet in there for the longest time. I finally switched One Battle After Another to my top choice. But in director, I put Jafar in as my top choice as the top person for director. Just for like 1 or 2 weeks. We'll see how it feels. But I still think Best Actor is completely wide open, and we have no idea what a front runner is there. I still think Jessie Buckley's probably, but I think Rose Byrne has done a lot of good for herself with her wins
Oh,
at New York, and I believe she won National Board of Review as well. Um,
Yes.
Supporting actor, I love that Benicio del Toro is kind of because I was worried for a couple weeks after I saw One Battle After Another that he might not get into the race, but he seems very solid to get in right now, and that just makes me very happy. Thank you, Sensei. And supporting actress also just seems wide open right now. So I'm very excited, and it's just a lot to take in. And we'll see what the Greater Michigan Film Critics have to say, and that'll really tell us what we need to
can't
know.
wait. I can't wait.
Well, and let's for people listening who aren't glued to their computers like we are, at Critics' Choice, Sinners got the most nods with 17, followed by One Battle After Another with 14, Frankenstein and Hamnet with 11, Marty Supreme with 8, Wicked, Sentimental Value, and F1 got 7, and Train Dreams got 5. Daniel, you have seen a lot of these films, I believe, and you can read all about them at Daniel's Substack. But where do you see the race right now?
I see the race right now, especially looking at its sort of clean sweep of the week. It feels like an Oppenheimer year, where the best picture is just kind of not set in stone per se, but it's just kind of like the same movie everyone kind of agrees on. And it's also like Oppenheimer was, it's the film that gives them the chance to finally award someone who's had an IOU for a good long time, almost the exact same amount of time, because I know Paul Thomas Anderson and Christopher Nolan were coming up at around the same time. So yeah, it feels like One Battle After Another is shaping up to be the film to beat. And right now, it's gonna take a major upset along the way for another film to build that momentum to catch up.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things is that ironically, I think Best Picture is probably the safest category in terms of predictions. Whereas I think a lot of the acting categories are still completely wide open. Um, I mean, Best Actor seems to be all over the place. You get Wagner Moura getting a lot of notices. Um, I am thrilled, and I know that I think some of you are as thrilled as I am, that Train Dreams really seems to be performing very well alongside just not just Joel Edgerton, but the cinematography, and it's getting into picture, it's getting into screenplay categories. And do you guys remember, Charlie and Rob, do you remember a few weeks ago, I talked about how there's a scenario in which Benicio del Toro actually is the safer bet
Hmm.
rather than Sean Penn. Now, Sean Penn is still getting nominations everywhere, but could I bring you to my side where possibly Sean Penn doesn't get a nomination?
Well, here's the thing, Tony. I don't know if you remember, but I told when you said that, I said I had the exact same thought a couple weeks ago. At that time, where I was thinking like it might be one of those weird things where one gets in and one doesn't, and the one that gets in isn't the one that most people would think. So I'm still, I'm still with the thing that I was worried about initially was Benicio not having enough momentum to get in, but that seems like that fear is kind of evaporated. Um, but I still hold out that that is a possibility. I'm kind of waning on it, but it's something that crossed my mind, and it still nags me in the back of my head.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I totally agree. I actually think that just both will get nominated. That's the safest bet, and it makes a lot of sense. And I'm now back on the train of yes, I do recognize Benicio del Toro is excellent in this film. Once saw the film again, I think I just was paying attention to so many aspects of that film that I loved. I was so in awe of it that I kind of didn't really pay much attention to Benicio. And when you watch the movie again and you know what's going to happen, you can focus on other stuff and I really paid attention to him and thought, yeah, he's really good. He really makes such an impact with not a lot of screen time, but who cares about the screen time? Um, and I just want to say two more things, Tony, before we move on, and that is I'm very happy about Amy Madigan. That's probably going to be the person that I'm going to be championing throughout the award season. I have one every year. We all do, right? We all have our favorites. For me, I just feel like that is such an iconic character, Halloween costume, but also just a beautiful performance by an actress that everybody loves, I think, that is very overdue. And I really want to see her win. I want to see a horror performance win or be nominated because after Toni Collette didn't get it, after Lupita Nyong'o didn't get it, I'm just like, all right, it's time. It's time to go back to the Jodie Foster and Silence of the Lambs type performance, even though they're not similar performances at all, but they're similar genre. And also, what do you make of the fact that in at the Critics' Choice, Cynthia Erivo didn't make it in, and neither did Avatar, and there were a few questionable choices that were made, and I just wonder, is that just because there's just a lot of really good stuff out there, and not everything can be nominated? Like, really, I don't think it's necessarily a snub that we all have to worry about.
Yeah, I think Ariana Grande getting in and not Cynthia might be just down to the different levels of competition in those two categories. I think not that supporting actress is weak per se for good performances, but there are less that are like building clear momentum, and I don't know that that category even has a front runner yet. So it's wide open for her. And I do think Ariana Grande was kind of low key the highlight of For Good. She had more of the emotional heavy lifting to do, whereas Cynthia Erivo made her sort of emotional transformation in the first film, turning against the wizard and becoming, awakened to the plight of the animals. Here, she's just righteous fury in a great way. But it's Ariana Grande who has the big internal conflicts throughout the movie. So I'm happy she's doing well and she got in.
Yeah, I think one of the highlights for me, and I don't know if anybody else caught this, but uh, one of my favorite nominations from Critics' Choice that came out today was The Perfect Neighbor getting in for editing.
Yes.
Um, I thought that was absolutely outstanding, and something that I specifically mentioned on this podcast. Um, Never thinking in a million years that it would even be a chance in hell of it
That's
showing
fine.
up anywhere, let alone Critics' Choice. So the fact, so, and I'm usually very hard on Critics' Choice, so good job for once. Um, all right, let's move on and let's actually dig into three films that figured heavily in all of these nominations and awards mentions. And I actually want to start with the one that I haven't seen. And I know, Rob, you've seen Marty Supreme. Daniel, have you seen Marty Supreme? Charlie?
Not
I
yet,
have
not
not. It
for
has
me.
not screened here in DC yet.
Okay, so this will be
Okay,
pretty really
Rob,
quick.
take it away.
Go. So I saw Mighty Supreme late last week, and I was blown away. Okay, just absolutely. I mean, I'm so in love with this movie. It's definitely going to be in my top five of the year. Obviously, I haven't seen everything yet. Um, Timothée Chalamet is sensational, and I would love to see him win finally. I don't think he will. I actually believe, honestly, guys, that Ethan Hawke will probably take this out. I just have this feeling, and I'm going to be seeing Blue Moon later today or tomorrow. Finally, have a screener for that, and that's because our amazing colleague Chris Beecham wrote to me the other day and said, "Hey mate," well he didn't say "Hey mate," because he's not Australian. He said, "Hey man, you need to watch this movie, and I want to hear what you think about it." So I can't wait to tell him. Anyway, Mighty Supreme is phenomenal. The music by Daniel Lopatin is so good. Similar vibe to Uncut Gems. and it's so kinetic and frenetic and chaotic and very pacey and funny and compelling, and Odessa Azion is amazing, and so is Gwyneth Paltrow, and the directing, the screenplay, the cinematography, the editing. Honestly, I feel like this is a 10 nomination film, and I really, really, really want to see it succeed. I can't wait for you guys to see it because I really do believe that all you will all no, not from what I know of you all, I feel like you will love it as well. So that's all I want to say. I don't want to spoil much more. Everybody go out and see Mighty Supreme, and then once Daniel Lopatin's score is released, you will be blown away at how good it's like an electronic ambient vibe with some beautiful percussion. It's fantastic. That's all I'm going to say for now. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
I'm very excited about that. I really am. It's interesting because Uncut Gems is a film that made me so uncomfortable. I just felt like I just felt like I needed a Xanax afterwards. Um, and
Same.
I'm really interested to see because I think Timothy Chalamet is very quickly, even for such a young guy, he is developing this kind of like overdue narrative. In terms after just, I mean, he's only had two nominations, so it's kind of hard to call him overdue. But there is that feeling that goes along with him, of him being somebody who could very easily, I think, get in and could potentially win. What do you guys think in terms of Chalamet?
I'm just hoping that they don't make Timothy Chalamet wait the way they made Leonardo DiCaprio wait. Like I don't want Timothy to have to wrestle a bear to win his Oscar finally. But there is a bias against the younger actors, the younger heartthrob actors. But I think he's quickly establishing himself as the real deal, like with longevity and not just like a matinee idol kind of actor. But he proves that he's got leading man quality with the Dune films. He can lead a blockbuster, and he can also be Bob Dylan and get a freaking Grammy nomination for singing as Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. So yeah, I don't know if this will be his year. I'll make up my own mind when I see the film, but yeah, I think he's the kind of actor who has gotten the two nominations, but he's had enough near misses in the interim that I feel like people think he's been nominated more than he has.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the
Charlie?
same page about. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page about that. I think one of the things that really has really helped Chalamet was the fact that his big breakout role was "Call Me by Your Name," and that when you look back at what happened with that award season, he dominated the Critics Awards in the Best Actor category, and then it wasn't until the Golden Globes that Gary Oldman started, and the televised awards that Gary Oldman started winning. And got the momentum for his eventual win. But I think the fact that he broke through in such a role that was so compelling and has, as Daniel said, has shown that he can lead a blockbuster franchise. There's very, he's someone who's just in such a short amount of time has cemented himself as someone who can do so much, and I want to say do almost anything, and it's made his career so interesting to watch. So I do think eventually he will become the front runner and eventual winner this year. But I've always been excited for him. I remember him back on Homeland. We remember him as the vice president's son and one of the worst storylines ever in television. Um, but it wasn't his fault, so we completely forgive him for that.
And it's interesting because we moving on from Marty Supreme, uh, all of the films that we're talking about this week, really have this kind of they're so different in so many ways because at the complete opposite end of the intensity spectrum, apparently from Marty Supreme, is Jafar Panahi's "It Was Just an Accident," the Palme d'Or winner. Um, and I was telling Charlie offline that I have not been able to get the ending of this movie, which we are not going to spoil here. Um, I cannot get it out of my mind. And it's such a strange film because it's a film that for probably the first 40 minutes of it, I was just like, this isn't moving very fast, and it's only an hour and 40 minutes. Where are we going? And then before I knew it, I was like, where is this going? It changed from is anything going to happen to oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. And I don't know when it happened in the film. I don't know when it snuck up on me. Um, but I think this film, having a few days to sit with it, I have always said Jafar Panahi is a masterpiece. He's a master filmmaker, and he has this way of just absolutely bringing you in to what might seem like a completely unique situation and still find the universality of it. I think it's easily one of the best films of the year. And I'm curious to see. And Charlie, I want to start with you because I know you and I share the same feeling about the ending of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is the only additional thing I will add to it. I think it is the best ending of the year that I've seen so far, and it is one of the most haunting endings I've seen. And it actually kind of it left me in the same sort of way that I felt at the end of Zone of Interest. So I know Rob, that's going to add to the anticipation for you, but it really did. It really it did it so effectively, and it also. I think one of the things that he does with this movie is that he embraces the more absurdist aspects of this. Like I was asking you, Tony, how many times did you laugh during this, and you said more than I thought I would, and I could tell when I saw that at Milberg most of the people in the audience were having the same reaction. Like there were moments where it was I don't know if I'd call it gut busting laughter, but we were laughing pretty hard at certain moments of this because I think Jafar understands. I guess also having lived the experiences that he has. You have to have a good sense of humor about this in order to function as well as he does. Um, and it's just it really goes to such a dark area, but it's so fascinating. And um, I love movies like that where like one little thing sets off and then it just snowballs. I love movies like that. You know, a movie like it kind of reminds me in a weird way of Martin Scorsese's After Hours. In a way, the way that it just keeps getting crazier and crazier as it goes along, and also I'd say Uncut Gems. It kind of reminds you of that, and has you on the edge of your seat and almost an uncomfortable way, like, dear God, what's going to happen next? Yeah, I'm on the same page with you, Tony. I absolutely adored it. I just really, it's the first Trevor Panahi movie I've actually watched, and I can't wait to embrace more of his filmography.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so jealous. One of my favorite expressions is I'm so jealous of that experience for you because you get to
Yes, I listened to Linoleum Knife as well.
yes, yes. Daniel, you saw this at was it the New York Film Festival?
Yeah, I saw it at the New York Film Festival. It was a two-movie day. I saw this right before If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You.
Oh, Jesus
This was a
Christ.
stressful day.
Talk about absurdism.
Yeah.
If I had known what If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You was going to be, I might have taken the evening off after seeing it was
Yeah.
just an accident. Um, but yeah, I thought this was an excellent movie. It didn't hit me quite the same way it hit you two, Tony and Charlie. Just, because I felt like, in a weird way, I felt like the humor for me undercut some of the tension. Like I thought there are moments that are very funny, but I felt like, well, the stakes are here and the humor is kind of bringing it here because it's kind of like a tension release when you get to laugh. So it's not until you get to a certain point in the film that it becomes like, oh, okay, this is what I'm here for. And I will agree that yes, it is the best ending of any film I've seen this year.
Yeah. Um, I just saw it. I just watched it this morning, and
Oh, really?
Oh, you
yeah, I did.
did?
Yeah, I did. I got up really early, even though I went to bed extremely late last night. I got up really early because this is what, this is what we do. And first of all, everything that the three of you have just said, I 100% agree with. Even though what Daniel said is slightly different, obviously different perspectives, it's all correct as far as I'm concerned. Because first 40 minutes, I'm like, this is great. It's fine. I felt like it could have been a really good play, and then it just gets more and more tense. And then that ending, I don't want. Obviously, I won't spoil it, but there's a meme where you see like the goosebumps, and then it's like this is the feeling I get from. That's what I was getting, and I couldn't look at the screen. I was like, I can't look at this. And then whatever happens, happens, and it has a really good effective use of sound, like the Zone of Interest. Similar, left me feeling the same I felt with the Zone of Interest. This is a top five film for me as well. This movie blew my fucking socks off. Okay, it is so good. The humor. I get what Daniel's saying. That's a very perceptive thing to say. My opinion is sometimes when you're at a funeral and you might catch the eye of your sibling or something, and you'll just start doing that ridiculous, like you can't stop laughing, but the uncomfortable, like what the hell am I laughing at? I shouldn't be. That's how I felt. It was uncomfortable. It was complicated, and it was universal. When you said that, Tony, I was like, yes, yes. How universal are some of the themes in this film. This is not just about Iran. This is about totalitarianism, and it's about power, and it's about trauma. And God damn it, I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, I
movie I
think
need
in
to see
in
again too, just
yeah.
to wrap my mind around it a little bit more. I will say, filmmakers around the world, can you stop making movies about totalitarian regimes that feel so familiar now?
Yeah.
No, and one of the things that I found myself, first of all, I kept thinking, I tried, even though I heard all the deafening, talk about this coming out of Cannes, and I really try to insulate myself and not read too much about a film before I go into it because so many times I think we've all experienced films that have been praised up the wazoo, and then we watch it and it sets our expectations. So I went into this going, okay, I love Jafar Panahi films. You know, Through Taxis, No Bears. I love these films so much. Um, this film is so. I thought about after the fact what he must have gone through to even make this film because he still doesn't have the ability, the legal right to make films in Iran. He had to do this without permits. He had to do it with only certain portions of the script. He didn't want to have a full copy of the script available because if authorities came in, he didn't want them to know what the film was going to be about. There are parts that were filmed in Tehran, and they had to do it super fast. And these are not professional actors that he used. I think that there is a take, there is a 13-minute unbroken take at the end of the film in the climax of the film. That is one take that is 13 minutes long. I didn't even realize that it was one take until about minute 10 that I was just like, "Oh my God, they haven't cut."
And the
Uh,
light, the way it was
it, it,
lit, the way it was shot, and
the
oh my God.
lighting, the acting, and it's so haunting that and exactly what you were talking about, Rob, in terms of trauma, the fact that the trauma will always haunt you, that it's always there if you let it stay there. And I think in a couple weeks we need to have a spoiler conversation about
I
this
think so
film,
too.
because there are so many things I want to say.
I want
But
theories.
what I want to ask you guys is what I'm no if you're noticing the same thing I am, they're putting Jafar Panahi kind of on the circuit the same way, and I've noticed some similarities in how we've been talking about Parasite, another film that is shocking and haunting and yet still extremely funny. There are moments in Parasite that are like a comedy. They're putting Jafar Panahi on the circuit much the same way that they put Bong Joon-ho out there in front of audiences. Do you think that could um, get this film into some of those bigger categories at the Oscars?
absolutely
Um,
think so. I mean, how can you not? He just think he's one of those people like Bong who just he just has a very magnetic personality. He can go on a talk show, and even with the translator, he just eats up the scenery. And I mean, how can he not with the story that with everything that he's been through? Yeah, I think that's a genius strategy, and I think that's probably the best thing that the film has going for it with this campaign.
yeah, I agree. I think this is poised to really break out of the international feature ghetto, so to speak. We've seen a lot of this happen over the last few years, particularly with the Academy and its expanded membership. I really hope so. I hope there's no bias against it because it's not in English. I think we've moved on from that now, and it's just so good. People have to stick with this. The first half is good. The second half is wow. So they just need to watch the whole thing and just wait for the end and sit through the credits, even the scroll, because I was just like, the waiting. Shit.
Yeah, and yet at the other end of the spectrum is another Cannes favorite that won the Grand Prix, Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value. Um, and who wants to go first on this one? Because I have so many things to say about this film. Daniel, why don't you go first? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Rob.
I just want to say that's the one that I wasn't able to get to. The screener is staring at me and it's just saying, watch me, but I just can't. I had to go out last night to a Christmas party. I'm going out tonight. I'm not going to see it until tomorrow. So be very, very gentle with the spoilers. That's all I can say.
Yes. Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, when Godzilla arrives at the end of this film, it's
Oh my
just
God.
such a shock. No, I love this film. It's the way it captures a certain family dynamic, and we talked about trauma in it was just an accident, and there are elements of trauma that inform the histories of the characters and sentimental value that really kind of informs what happens to them and the relationships they're in. It's almost hard for me to discuss it too much because it's not really a plotty movie. It's a very much a character exploration, and yeah, I'm glad that it's getting all of the nominations that it's getting, especially all of those acting nominations that are richly deserved, because this is an incredible cast. And yeah, it's I'm looking forward to seeing this at the Oscars. It definitely will be there.
Charlie?
I always enjoy I usually enjoy movies that have like this family that are like the dysfunctional family dynamic. I usually eat those movies up, and this movie was no different. I absolutely enjoyed this movie. I love how it rides the line between comedy and drama, which is what you would expect for a dysfunctional, which is what it's like to be in a dysfunctional family. At times it's hilarious, at other times it's maddening. And I think, and I like the way it explored, this aspect of, the father's a director, one of the daughters becomes an actress, and the dynamics between that. And I think it examines everything. I need to watch it again. It was interesting. The day I saw it at Middleburg, I believe that was a four-movie day for me, and I saw this one right after it was just an accident. Um, I had some fucked up days at Middleburg that I enjoyed, but they were still fucked up in terms of the schedule. But I very much enjoyed this. Even someone like Elle Fanning doesn't feel out of place in this. I think I think everybody knew what they were doing going into this, especially Renata, having worked with Joachim just a couple of years earlier with Worst Person in the World. And then for me, I absolutely adored Stellan Skarsgård in this. I thought I loved seeing him get a chance to have a role like this. Just after just being this legendary character actor for years who can act in several languages. He's just an all around Renaissance man. I love him. I love
I
that he's
love
getting this chance to shine, and that and that it looks like he's going to be a very serious player in the supporting actor race.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything any of you. I loved this film. I loved it from frame one.
Mhm.
I was probably a little biased only because I think The Worst Person in the World is a masterpiece. And so I'm like, oh my God, Trier and Renata Reinsve and Stellan Skarsgård. I'm like bouncing. I'm so happy.
Sign me
Um,
up.
but I don't think I was prepared for every time I thought this film was going to go to a specific place in the family drama kind of tropes. It does the complete opposite of what I thought it was going to do. There are such powerful scenes that are so quiet when histrionics would have been, you know, the easy thing to do. Um, I think the entire opening sequence with Renata Reinsve being prepared to go on stage and I love that sequence. I think that sequence is bonkers in the best way. I think Renata
It got a really
Reinsve.
good laugh in the audience from when I saw it. It got a really good laugh that whole set, the whole entire time.
Oh, just chef's kiss. I think Renata Reinsve gives my favorite female performance that I've seen so far this year. I think she's even more powerful in completely different ways than Jessie Buckley in Hamnet. And Inga Ibsdottir Lilius, my God, she has a scene in this film that just broke me. It's so quiet and it does everything a great supporting performance is supposed to do. It's never showy, it's never over the top. It's so controlled and so lived in. Um, I want to know more about her. I want to see a completely different movie with this character because I feel like there is so much more left to unpack. I wanted to spend more time with all these characters. I thought Elle Fanning, who at first I was like, what the hell is Elle Fanning doing in this movie? And she takes what could have been a thankless role and makes it sing. And I don't think the movie works without her, which I was not expecting. Um, this is one of those movies where I've always kind of hated it when they say the house is a character. The house is a character. In and I love that house. Oh, it's so old timey and drafty, and the stove. And it just made me so happy. I really hope this. I think I have a feeling, it's really a four-hander. I mean, Skarsgård and Reinsve and Fanning and Lilius really are the meat of the film, and I think all four of them have a really good shot at getting in.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can't wait.
So let's move on. Let's do a very quick. If anybody has anything fascinating that they're watching, I'm watching the final season of Stranger Things and am loving it beyond measure for so many reasons, but above all, Linda fucking Hamilton is
Yes.
killing it. I love her so much. To come in and see her with that wig that makes her look like an ice princess, and she's just being evil and horrible, and I love it so much.
Yeah. You know what? Stranger Things is like one of our religions in this household. Like my kids are so obsessed with it, especially Juliet. And so we've been watching it together as a family, and like we're so into it. And they don't really know who Linda Hamilton is, so yet they're still learning about pop culture from the '90s and whatever. So this is a great introduction to her, but also like I get the criticisms, like oh God, this is still going. Do we care anymore? The like Will Byers looks 47 now, and it's just all a little bit silly, but who cares? I just love it. I'm having so much fun. Everything about this show is just awesome. I wish it would never end, and the latter half of the final season, I think, drops. Well, it drops here on the day after Christmas, so I'm not sure what happens. That's probably Christmas Day in
It drops
America.
here on Christmas Day.
Yeah, so it's the day, obviously because we're in the future, and so we have blocked out. We That's called Boxing Day in Australia and the UK, and so we've blocked out Boxing Day. We would normally have a big thing on that day. No, no, we are staying home. We're getting up. We're going to eat Christmas leftovers, and we're going to watch Stranger Things the whole day. Done.
Daniel or Charlie, anything interesting that you're watching?
Well, sometimes, especially with award season, sometimes I need something just to decompress. Um, uh, but this happens to be also a surprisingly good show. Heated Rivalry, the gay hockey romance. It's compelling enough that it's not just the sex. But the
Although the
sex is
That
sex
good.
is
doesn't hurt.
great in that show.
The sex doesn't hurt. No. And the
No.
butts are good. Good butts.
Wow.
Hockey butts are
Wow.
very, very nice.
I saw a clip of that on social media the other day and I was like, what is this? And then I realized it's like this new HBO show. I was like, oh my God, this is a lot. That's a lot.
So I actually just finished before we start recording. Just finished the first episode of it. I absolutely loved it. It's created by Jacob Tierney, who was the co-creator and co-writer of Letterkenny. So it's very different from Letterkenny, but I find it very interesting the way that he has approached that show, and I can't wait to watch more of it. Um, I know we'll probably talk about this in another episode, but last night I watched Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice, and I thought I thought Begonia was the most bonkers movie I had seen this year until I watched this one because holy hell, that movie is fucking crazy.
Oh,
In a way that I'm still not sure how I feel about it yet, but I can't wait on a future episode to unpack that one with you guys.
I actually, just like Rob, have the screener right in front, sitting right over
yeah.
here.
Okay. Let's do that next time.
Yes. Okay. So this is the part of the show that I'm just going to shut up and let the people who know talk. Charlie, you wanted to talk about Radiohead, so I'm going to let you guys talk about this because I have no frame of reference.
So I am. If anybody who's been listening to this has listened to 1 minute of one episode, they probably have figured out I'm a massive Radiohead fan. I love that, and I wanted to talk because I know Rob, you're also a massive Radiohead fan. They just started touring again for the first time in 7 years, and I've been
Right.
seeing clips of the concerts pop up on my TikTok feed. They're still incredibly awesome. They're having a blast. I can't wait to see if we get another album in the next year or two from this thing of them. Rob, I wanted to start this off. But how did you first become aware of Radiohead?
So Radiohead, I'm more of an old school Radiohead fan as opposed to their newer stuff, which is still fine. So when I was at university, going through that whole phase of like discovering what I really loved and being a bit of a lefty with politics and liking experimental music, I thought, what is this Radiohead stuff? And it really got me through a lot of periods of my life where I was really stressed out or really working really hard on my degrees, and I just really value their music. I just value it like personally, and I love pretty much all of their albums. But I know you, Charlie, we were going to like maybe just talk about our top three songs. Should we just do that quickly now? Because I've really thought about this very carefully because I wasn't sure whether to go down the deep cut route or go down just the songs that I actually really love the most. Because the songs that I love the most are kind of like they're expected. Like, and I'm just, oh, bugger it. I'm just going to go with what I love the most. I don't care if it's kind of
That's
cliche
what
to
we
say
want.
that
That's
these
what
are
we want. We want what you want what
what we
gets you the
love,
most what
right?
gets you the most.
So
So yeah, go right ahead, man.
there are four, like because honestly, like Paranoid Android is a such an amazing song. But if I put that one aside, there are three songs that I love the most. One, There, which is from their Hail to the Thief 2003 album. Love that song. Karma Police, of course, from OK Computer 1997. Oh my God, that song just, it does lots of things to me. It really means the world to me, that song. But my number one song from Radiohead, which I would listen to over and over again on loop until the day that I finally shuffle off this mortal coil, is Everything in Its Right Place from Kid A from 2000. Jesus, 2000. Jesus Christ, we're old. But you know that song, Everything in Its Right Place, just from the first bar, the first note, just captured my imagination like no other song had done for a very long time, and since it's in my top songs of all time. It's a killer. That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
I got into them in high school. I had the album OK Computer. I got it because I liked Karma Police, but that was before I really was listening to albums. So I only listened to maybe that and Paranoid Android off the album. And then it was when I was starting to read the press about Kid A that I actually listened to all of OK Computer, and it completely blew me away. I love the way they incorporate everything is purposeful in a Radiohead album, in a Radiohead song, and it's meticulously done. It's kind of like it's the same way I love Steely Dan. It's very purposeful, and they're very perfectionist about it. What they do with Nigel Godrich is incredible, and I will never forget buying Kid A and then listening to it in the car with my mom back from the mall. And the first three songs, just my mom was like, at the end of the national anthem, she's like, "Okay, I can't do this anymore." Which is understandable. I kind of felt the same. I kind of felt the same. Like if I was not expecting what that was, I mean, it caught me by surprise. But then I started listening to it. I stopped listening to it, and it just Kid A just became a staple for me. It's just one of the most incredible things I've ever listened to. Honorable mention songs I have to give to Airbag, the opening song on OK Computer, motion picture soundtrack, the closing song on Kid A. It's one of the most beautiful closing songs I've ever heard on an album. And a bit of a deep cut talk show host from the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack is incredible. It's even when you hear them live. They do that song live incredibly. My number three is Climbing Up the Walls. As someone who loves David Lynch, this feels like a David Lynch type song. It feels like you're in a nightmare, which is what Blue Velvet feels like. And so it just like it has these scary imagery that I just adore. Number two, off of In Rainbows, Weird Fishes, Arpeggi is one of the most incredible. I love it. It's one of the most basic, but it builds layer upon layer upon layer until it culminates in this amazing symphony, which is incredible. One of my favorite clips on YouTube is, I believe it's a Dutch symphony, playing it on a full orchestra. It's incredible.
Wow.
My number
Okay.
one song is "How to Disappear Completely" off of Kid A. That song is one of the most hauntingly beautiful songs I've ever heard. Tom York has even said himself that that's his personal favorite song that they've ever done, and I think it's just another just gorgeous, beautiful, haunting, sad. Because it's also from Tom York wrote that he wrote this during the OK Computer tour, and if you ever want to see someone lose their mind, there's a little documentary called "Meeting People Is Easy." It's like a 15-minute documentary about Radiohead on the OK Computer tour and you basically watch Tom York be driven mad by the touring schedule and everything that they had to do during this. It was and the chorus of "How to Disappear" is I'm not here, this isn't happening," and that's what Michael Stipe of REM told him to do to relax, which I just think is a really interesting thing, and it's just again just beautiful. I love everything they do, and again, I hope for some new thing, and maybe Radiohead will win that coveted Album of the Year prize soon.
Yeah.
What a perfect segue. By the way, I didn't understand a single word you people just said.
It was
Neither did I.
technically in English, but it kind of was it is a foreign language.
Yeah.
I've heard some
Um,
Radiohead, but I'm not in the cult of Radiohead kind of
It's okay.
fandom.
We'll forgive you.
but that actually does segue perfectly into our top five this week, which is our top five favorite Grammy wins for album of the year. And I think we're going to learn a lot about each other through this list, as though we didn't already know each other well enough as it is. Daniel, you are our guest. Will you give us your number five?
My number five, and I have to admit, I'm not as big a music connoisseur as I am a film and TV connoisseur, so my picks skew a little bit more recent, except for like a couple of these, which are a few decades old. Well, actually, this one is actually a few decades old. Now I feel old. My number five is "Falling Into You" by Celine Dion, an album that I think was kind of a surprise when it won, but every once in a while on my Spotify playlist, one of the songs from that album will come up and everything about it still holds up.
Wow.
And the voice, just
I
her
Yes,
peak.
Charlie.
My number five is another a bit of a recent one. It's Supernatural by Santana. And from the opening notes of that album, it's just otherworldly. I love everything about that. It also has one of my favorite closing songs of all time, "The Calling," which is just a guitar duet between Santana and Eric Clapton. It's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Um, so my number five, I've got a bit of a recency bias as well. My number five is The Suburbs from Arcade Fire in 2011. Arcade Fire has also gotten me through a lot of really tough times over the years, I'm very intimately involved, familiar with The Suburbs. And their two previous albums before that. And so just to see these Canadian giants win just really, really made my day, made my night when I saw that. So it's a great album.
I was very close to putting a Taylor Swift song album as my number five, but then I thought Charlie might reach through through the screen
I
and
had
beat
the
the
same
crap out of
thought.
me.
I welcome it. I welcome your wrongness.
Just so
But
many choose
actually, my number five, I'm going back to 1961. I'm going with Judy Garland live at Carnegie Hall.
I knew that was going to
Um,
be on your list.
it was very close to not being on my list. I
from.
literally went between that and Folklore, but I mean, come on. Judy Garland at like just the perfect time in between ups and downs, absolutely triumphant, classic American music. You just can't get any better. Daniel, number four.
Number four is the oldest album on my list, and it's the an album that I got to know over the years through osmosis because every song on it has been everywhere for our lifetimes, and that's Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. There's no slow points or low point in that album. It's just, all killer, no filler.
Ooh, I love that.
The first time I
I
actually was introduced to that album was actually on its 20th anniversary in 1997. Um,
God, we're
which,
old.
boy,
We're
yes,
so
they recorded a cover album, or the record company recorded a cover album with some of their roster of artists doing every song on Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. So you got things like the Cranberries, "Go Your Own Way." I think the Cores were on there, who I love, an Irish band that I really love. So from that to actually hearing the actual originals, that's an all-time great.
I think it's a great win, and it's one of the timeless ones that whenever I talk to my mom about music, she's just always like, "That was my 1977 was Rumors with by Fleetwood Mac." Also, one of the greatest lineups in terms of the nominees. So you had Fleetwood Mac with Rumors, Steely Dan with Asia, the Eagles with Hotel California, James Taylor with JT, and John Williams of the London Symphony Orchestra for the Star Wars soundtrack. I think it's like
amazing.
one of the most amazing lineups that's ever been done. My number four was a landmark one, and it was one that I was so hoping for. It's the first rap album that ever won Album of the Year. Speakerbox, "The Love Below" by Outkast. I love that it's a rap album, but each record is its own distinct thing. Speakerbox leans into that funk aspect, and "The Love Below" goes a bit more into the R&B part of it. And it's just Andre and Big Boy doing their own thing but also with each other, and it just is just so great. I absolutely love that album.
My number four is also Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. That was released in the year of my birth, 1978. I think that's yours as well, Tony. And there's not much more I can really say about Rumors. If you don't like Rumors, then I'm like, why? It's so good. All killer, no filler. I love that, Daniel. I will be using that going forward. Yeah, that's all I want to say. It's a great album. I'm very happy that it has Album of the Year. Alongside its different plaudits. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it'll be showing up a little bit later too. My number four is again showing my age and my taste. Is MTV Unplugged by Tony Bennett. Um, I grew up in a household where my grandparents were obsessed with, the classic American songbook of Irving Berlin and Gershwin, and hearing Tony Bennett, who I believe was in his late 60s, maybe early 70s at the time, having this renaissance on MTV, um, and with just three instruments behind him and his voice, no man could interpret a song the way Tony Bennett could. And every note on that album is perfect. Daniel, number three.
Number three is my next oldest album, a sentimental favorite of mine. It's Graceland by Paul Simon. I grew up with this album. My dad would play it constantly. Could sing most of the songs by heart, at one point. Now I can only probably do like a couple. But yeah, it's, the way it incorporates the African influences that I didn't really appreciate at the time kind of grows every time I listen to songs from the album. So now that I'm an adult, I can kind of appreciate it more fully, which is always a great thing when you love something and then it kind of deepens as your time goes by. So definitely Paul Simon's Graceland.
My number three is another landmark first for an album of the year win, and it's "Random Access Memories" by Daft Punk. It's for the Grammys have always had a really complicated relationship with what they term as dance music. So for the first dance album to win album of the year, for it to really be this pioneering electronic band, I think just really was a really great move on their part. My favorite thing about that win, first of all, is because it was up against Red by Taylor Swift, and when Alicia Keys started saying "ruh," you can see in the split screen Taylor Swift and her team think that they won, and then they want to go.
That's her dad.
Oh,
Her dad.
oh, that's
That's
okay.
her
But it
dad
was her
mostly.
management team
Yeah.
around her who thought that they had won for a moment. But my favorite thing about that win is when they cut to Daft Punk at the audience and they give each other this hug. And you can't see the emotion because they're wearing their robot helmets, but you can tell the way that they're holding each other. It's this really beautiful moment where they're like, holy shit, we've been doing this for 25 years and look where we've gotten. This is an incredible moment. And it's one of my favorite. And then Paul Williams had one of my favorite lines when he said, when he was accepting, he said, back when I was drinking and using, I used to see things that weren't there that would frighten me. And then I got sober and two robots called me to ask to make an album.
Yeah, so good. My number
Mm.
three is also random access memories. This is very interesting. Um, we all have our passions in life. One of my, really honestly, passions is dance music, electronic music, house music, EDM, however you want to call it, deep house. It's such a passion of mine. I listen to it all day, as well as film music, I think. I go to dance parties a lot these days in my 40s. I'm just living my best life, trying to enjoy as much dance music as I can. To see a dance music icon like Daft Punk win Album of the Year brought tears to my eyes. And I feel like the Grammys have really come a long way since then with the dance categories. They're really now quite settled in how they recognize dance pop and also more traditional electronic dance, as well as electronic dance albums, as well as remixes. I'm very impressed with the Grammys these days and how they treat dance music seriously. And just as a little aside, by the way, everybody, this probably won't really mean much to you, but the Australian equivalent of the Grammys are called the ARIA Awards. And it used to be that the dance category was always really strong because Australian dance music is very, very strong. These days, in Album of the Year and Song of the Year and this and that, it's all dance music in Australia. It's really taken over our country, our pop culture. And I feel like that could be slightly happening in the US as well because that's the home of dance music. That's Chicago and Detroit, as well as Berlin in Europe. So anyway, I digress, but it's such a great moment in Grammy history and it's such a freaking great album too.
Well, it's interesting. Charlie and Rob matched up on their number three, and my number three matches with Daniel. My number three is Graceland, uh, an album that came out when I was 8 years old, and we would listen to it on a tape in our car driving back and forth up to the mountains for the summer and things like that. I knew every lyric of Graceland by the time I was 9 years old. Um, I didn't understand most of it at the time, and now that I'm older, I understand it even better, and I appreciate even more why it's such a landmark album. Daniel, number two.
Number two comes from a year that was so good. Still my favorite year of nominees for Album of the Year. So good that my number two choice for my favorite of all time wasn't even my number one choice that year. It's that was that good lineup. It was Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by, of course, Lauryn Hill. Um, an incredible album. I appreciate much more in hindsight how it manages to be this art piece that assembles R&B and doo-wop and rap in such an elegant and a cohesive way. And that was the year of the other nominees were Come On Over by Shania Twain, The Globe Sessions by Sheryl Crow, Ray of Light by Madonna, which would have been my personal choice slightly over Lauryn Hill. But again, there's no duds in this lineup. And version 2.0 by Garbage, another album I listened to surprisingly a lot since in the years since. So yeah, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, among the best album of the year lineups in history. Also, all with, I think it was the first year with all female
Vocalists.
lead vocalists.
Yeah.
So yeah, great year, great album.
It's It's so funny, Dale. That is my number two as well. That's Education of Lauryn Hill. That was the year I first got into the Grammys, and it was because Garbage got nominated for Album of the Year for version 2.0. Because that I was in the throes of being obsessed with that album when those nominations came out. I still, Garbage was my middle school experience, and Rob, we talked about this on an episode before, but The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is such an incredible album. It's an experience to go through. Her voice is heavenly, and the music is just absolutely impeccable. You're just like, dear God, this woman's in her 20s and she creates this masterpiece. And her crazy ass is just still doing her own thing. We still want another solo album. We don't know if we'll ever get. We probably won't ever get it, but it doesn't matter because how can you argue with that output? It's such an incredible album. Even like I love the last song on there, the title track, "Miseducation of Lauryn Hill." So her vocals on that are so absolutely gorgeous in that it's heavenly to listen to.
My number two is the most recent album in my list, and that is when we all fall asleep, where do we go by Billie Eilish. I'm a huge fan of hers. It's no secret that that is also one of the religions in this household. That album really impressed me. That's another one where I believe it's all killer, no filler. It's just such a beautiful album. I was really happy for her to win that. And I don't really have a lot more to say. I just think it's just a really perfect album, and I'm really happy that they went for someone so young and so influential these days in pop culture and pop music. Yeah, an amazing album.
Yeah, that was on my runners up list, so I'm happy to hear that one too.
Yeah, my number two is Rumors. I actually knew Fleetwood Mac by osmosis because in the '80s, you heard Fleetwood
Yeah.
Mac on terrestrial radio. Ironically, it was the dance album, their live reunion album in 1995 or '96, something like that. That really set me on the path to do a deep dive. And I've become obsessed. I've seen Fleetwood Mac three times live
Wow.
in various, and one of the great joys of my life is the fact I could weep just thinking about it was the fact that I got to see Fleetwood Mac with Christine McVie um, uh, in 2015 after she came back to the band. So I got to hear one of my all-time favorite songs. I got to hear Songbird sung live, and I was a blithering idiot. Um, all right, Daniel, you're number one.
Number one, I can still sing almost every song own this album by heart. It's maybe it's a little basic to choose it as my number one, but Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. I can't pretend that's not, you know, a perfect album. Angry and funny in places and just so dynamic. I love that album so much. Is one of the first albums I ever owned. Um, it was very unlike what I used to listen to at the time. Like I was very much into like, the pop girlies of the era, like Celine Dion, who I mentioned, and Mariah Carey, and this was obviously very different from that. But yeah, Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. Every song on that is just mwah.
Before I
Charlie.
give my number one, just a couple honorable mentions. The soundtrack to Saturday Night Fever, No Jacket Required by Phil Collins. I know people probably wouldn't even nominate it today, but I love that
Oh, it's a
album.
beautiful album.
Taking
It's
the
a
Long Way by the
beautiful album.
Dixie Chicks, and how can I not Two Against Nature by Steely Dan. But my
Of
number
course.
one was one of the biggest upsets that happened in this category. You wouldn't think that a album that opens with a prison chain gang singing would be something that would stand out. But the soundtrack to Oh Brother Where Art Thou is one of the greatest wins I have ever heard. Not only is the album itself just great, the way T-Bone Burnett put that album together is absolutely impeccable. You also have to think about where the music industry was when it won in early 2002. The music industry was still reeling about what the fuck we were going to do after Napster happened, which I remember being on all the time in 2000 and 2001. Um, and so here comes this album that had no TV play except maybe a couple times on country music television, but no radio singles. And it managed, once it came out from a moderately successful movie, and it managed to get into the Billboard 200, and it just stayed there consistently, selling, 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 and it stayed there for over a year until it won Album of the Year. And a year and a half, like a year and 3 months after it comes out, it hits number one on the Billboard 200 because of the Album of the Year win. It's one of the greatest selling albums of all time. It's impeccably put together. I love "Man of Constant Sorrow" by the Soggy Bottom Boys so much, and even songs like like "Go to Sleep, You Little Baby" by the immense trio of Emmylou Harris, Gillian Welch, and Alison Krauss. And also, as a Virginian, I have to bring up Dr. Ralph Stanley, the father of mountain music. His haunting rendition of "Oh Death," when not only him getting an Album of the Year Grammy, but also Male Country Vocal Performance of the Year that year for that incredible, incredible rendition of "Oh Death." Just, ah, I love that they did that in such a crazy lineup. Just chef's kiss all around.
Um, I have a couple of honorable mentions. So I think of the three Taylor Swifts, I think there's three that's won. I think Midnight's is my favorite, and that was only a couple of years ago, and I was really happy that it won. Also, Come Away With Me by Nora Jones. Paula and I danced to that song from the album. That was our first dance at our wedding, and it's a beautiful album. It really is. But really, for me, there's no choice. This album was one of the very important albums in my formative years, and I love it so much. And all I'm going to say, because I don't want to repeat what's already been said, I'll just do this. That thing, that thing, that thing. Terrible singing, but the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill isn't just an album; it's a work of art. It's an experience. I really love how you put that, Daniel. And I think it was you, Daniel, who said that. And maybe it was you, Charlie. I can't remember now because I'm just so verklempt by how much I love that album. God, it means the world to me, and it's absolutely the best album of the year that I've ever seen and probably will ever see.
My honorable mentions are The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Also, I am a huge fan. I don't care how uncool it makes me, but Can't Slow Down by Lionel Richie. I love Lionel Richie, and I will be completely unapologetic for it. Not my number one might take you by surprise. It's probably an album that not many people remember as well as they should. Um, my number one is Nick of Time by Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, I
Um,
love it.
I I I have worn out that album I've worn it out on vinyl. I've worn it out on cassette. I've worn out 3 different CDs of it. Thank God for digital. I don't have to buy it again. But if I had to, I would. Very rarely, here's why I love this win so much, because at the time when Bonnie Raitt recorded Nick of Time, her career was really in a free fall. She had been dropped by her record label. She had just gotten sober, and there really wasn't a whole lot of radio play. It was mildly successful at radio, but she actually went into that Grammys with 4 nominations and won all 4. Um, and when Natalie Cole and Ella Fitzgerald announced Album of the Year and Bonnie Raitt won, it catapulted her to a new level of stardom. Um, and I think why that win matters so much, why that album matters so much, is because it really showed a lot of people who weren't paying attention what a true artist. I think Bonnie Raitt has one of the great voices of all time. She's a magnificent songwriter. She doesn't write as much. She only will write occasionally. But I mean, the title track is a masterpiece that she still plays in concert to this day. When she won Just Like That at the Grammys a few years ago, what a beautiful song that is. But that song wouldn't exist without Nick of Time. Every song on it is perfect. It shows her accomplished. It straddles so many different styles of pop and rock and blues and the songwriting and her musicianship. She's a phenomenal guitar player, and anybody who's ever seen her live knows that to still be the case. I just think it's an absolute masterpiece. There's not a single wasted moment. It features background vocals by David Crosby and Graham Nash. It features Herbie Hancock playing piano. The production by Don Was is exquisite. The album was only done in like 3 or 4 weeks because it has this live, unpolished feel to it. And I think every song on it could have been a radio hit. I think every song on it is a classic. So that is my number one. That brings us to the end of this week's show. And Daniel, thank you so much. Please tell us where we can find your lovely Substack.
My Substack can be found at danielmontgomery3.substack.com, or if you just search Me and the Media Substack, it'll pop right up. So please like and subscribe to that, everyone. And I'm all over the social medias, so you can find me if you search Daniel Montgomery, Blue Sky, Twitter, or the artist formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm in all the places in various degrees of activity. So,
well, we will definitely. You're definitely going to be on the repeat booking list. So, congratulations, you passed your audition. Have a great week, Have a great week, everybody. We will see you next time on the Awards Heaven podcast. Bye.
Bye.